Tēnā koutou katoa. No ngā hau e whā aku tīpuna, ko Ngāti Hurai taku iwi, no kirikiri roa au. Kei te whanganui a tara taku kāinga, ko Rachel taku ingoa. He kairanga hau au nā te ropu rangahau mātauranga o Aotearoa. Ko tēnei taku mihi kia koutou, e whai ana i te tākaro hei huarahi ako. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Kia ora koutou. My name is Rachel Bolstad and I'm a senior researcher at NZCER. I lead the Games for Learning research project and I'm one of the team that's been working very hard to organise this event over the last 6 or so months. And you'll meet other people from the NZCER team who you'll be able to identify by their badges over the next 2 days, as well as Dan Millward, our collaborator from Game Lab. And we've got many exciting things in store for you, but no spoilers yet. So as I said, this event's been many months in the making. It's so exciting that we're finally here, and we're here today to begin our shared journey into Games for Learning. So in my opening remarks, I'd first like to draw your attention to the diversity of people who are here at this conference. And you guys have been sitting very quietly, but we're going to get a little bit interactive now. So in a minute, I'm going to ask you to clap, cheer, holler, make a bit of noise. Let's test this out. So can you make some noise if you are from a primary or intermediate school? Nice. Okay. What if you're from a secondary school? Okay, who's here from a tertiary institute or an industry training organisation? Yeah. Does anyone here work in game design? Yeah, nice. By the end of the day, you'll all be clapping when I say that one. Does anyone work in production or publishing or digital content? Yeah, I know there's a few of you. Does anyone here do research? Woo, yeah. Is anyone here a student of any kind? Yeah. And how many of you would consider yourself a gamer? Nice. So these are just some of the forms of diversity you'll find at this conference, and we really invite you to spend the next couple of days learning a bit more about each other, and believe me, we'll be there to help facilitate that. If you're a bit shy, why don't you try asking somebody what their favourite game is, or why were they keen to attend this conference? You might even want to invite someone to play a game with you. We've got lots of games on offer in Icon where you'll be having your meals. And there's lots of time for fun over lunch breaks and at tonight's social event. But whatever you do, don't miss the opportunity to explore the diverse perspectives and experiences that each of you brings to this conference. And the connections that you make with each other may be as important or even more important than the knowledge you'll gain from the sessions that you attend. Second, I want to point out the diversity of approaches and perspectives on Games for Learning that make up our program. So from ancient games to contemporary, from physical to digital, from playing games to designing and making them, to gamification and everything in between. If you think about it, games and play are some of the most ancient ways that people learned and how people transmitted knowledge and experiences from one generation to the next. Games exist in every culture, and also they've been around a lot longer than schools. Games have an almost magical power to engage people's hearts, minds, and bodies, and so to me it makes perfect sense to think that we can use them to support richer, deeper learning. But how do we do that for learners of all ages with all sorts of different educational needs and interests? We'll be exploring questions like these together over the next 2 days. And speaking of questions, one of my favourite topics. When we first decided to run this conference, we came up with these three very big questions. How can game-based learning enhance equity of educational opportunities and improve the experiences of all learners in Aotearoa, New Zealand? how can game-based learning support young people on pathways to further learning, satisfying work and a decent future? And how can game-based learning support the development of confident, connected, creative and digitally fluent learners? So each of these questions suggests game-based learning might be a means to a bigger ends, and these big ends tie us back to our values around equity and social impact. They remind us to keep our eyes on the future and to think about what kind of society and world we want to create alongside our young people. Now, I'm sure that each and every one of you has come to this conference with your own specific questions that you're hoping to find answers to. Perhaps it's, how can I use Minecraft in my classroom? Or how can I be successful in the business of designing educational games? Or what kind of games will help the learners that I teach? So whatever personal questions you've come with, I hope that you will find many useful answers. But the task of trying to answer these very big questions falls to all of us together as a community. They're complex questions and they'll have complex answers, but I'm confident that we're going to find our way towards some collective and shareable wisdom over these 2 days. And so, on to our morning speakers. We're opening our conference with a focus on Indigenous perspectives, first with Hako Brown, who will speak about Ngā Taonga Tākaro, traditional Māori games. And then after morning tea, we'll hear from Amy Fredine, who will speak about the digital game Never Alone. So I first heard about Hako when he was interviewed by Catherine Ryan on Radio New Zealand National late last year. And I thought, oh, traditional Māori games, that's interesting. I was sort of thinking, well, where's this going to fit into our big conversation that we want to have around the role of game-based learning in Aotearoa? So I kind of tucked that away. And then a few months after that, a teacher from Wellington High, who's actually here today, that's Tony, he's very generous, and he had a copy of the staff newsletter where teachers had been writing about some of their own inquiry processes that they'd been doing within the school. And the front page story was written by a teacher in the school's health and PE team, and they mentioned having attended one of Hako's workshops on traditional Māori games. And they wrote really positively about the learning that he'd shared, and it had left them feeling very inspired and encouraged in the work that they were trying to do to bring more cultural relevance into their PE programs. So it was a clear signal to me that I should reach out to Hako, which I did, and happily he responded really warmly to my invitation. I'm delighted to welcome Hako as our first speaker.